Ladies and gentlemen, most women are taught from a young age to be kind, polite, and agreeable. And while kindness is a beautiful trait, it becomes dangerous when it morphs into people-pleasing. Here's the truth. There's a massive difference between being kind and constantly bending over backwards to make other people, especially men, feel comfortable at the expense of your own needs. Kindness is rooted in mutual respect. It comes from a place of strength. But people-pleasing, that comes from fear. Fear of rejection, fear of conflict, fear of not being liked. And women are socially conditioned to believe that their likability is their currency. So what do? We smile when we're uncomfortable. We say yes when we want to say no. We give second, third, fourth chances to men who haven't even earned a first one. That's not kindness. That's self-betrayal dressed up as compassion. This is where we need to get real. If you're constantly excusing bad behavior, brushing things under the rug, or keeping quiet just to avoid rocking the boat, you're not being kind. You're abandoning yourself. You're prioritizing someone else's comfort over your own peace, your own voice, your own boundaries. And the worst part? You think you're doing the right thing. You've been told that being a good woman means being accommodating, understanding, nurturing, that your role is to support, to fix, to tolerate. But here's the question. Who told you that? Who benefits when you shrink yourself, silence yourself, or tolerate less than you deserve? This kind of behavior doesn't just affect your relationships with men, it affects how you see yourself. Every time you say it's fine when it's not, every time you let someone slide because you don't want to seem difficult, every time you prioritize being nice over being honest, you chip away at your self-respect. And without self-respect, you're just performing kindness. You're being agreeable because you're afraid of what will happen if you're not. But let's flip that for a second. What would it look like if your kindness came from confidence, not fear? What would it look like if you started being kind to yourself first? That means telling the truth even when it's uncomfortable. That means saying no without explaining or apologizing. That means walking away from situations and people that drain you, even if they call you selfish, dramatic, or cold. And let's get one thing clear. Being kind doesn't mean you let people treat you however they want. It doesn't mean tolerating disrespect because he's going through a hard time or he didn't mean it like that. You're not a rehabilitation center for emotionally unavailable men. You're not a free therapist for someone who only calls you when he needs something. Your time, your energy, your love, they are valuable. Start acting like it. A lot of women mistake being liked for being respected. They think if they're nice enough, patient enough, low-maintenance enough, that eventually they'll be valued. But respect doesn't work like that. You can't earn it by being easy to deal with. You earn respect by having standards and holding them, by refusing to lower the bar just because someone might meet you halfway. This shift from people-pleasing to self-respect is uncomfortable. You'll feel guilty at first. You'll wonder if you're being mean, if you're overreacting. But that's the conditioning talking. That's years of being taught to keep the peace instead of speaking your truth. Let me say it loud and clear. Speaking up is not rude. Having standards is not mean. Saying no is not selfish. Those are the behaviors of someone who respects herself. So the next time you find yourself excusing someone's bad behavior or ignoring that gut feeling that says, this isn't right, pause. Ask yourself, am I being kind or am I abandoning myself again? Because real kindness doesn't require you to set yourself on fire to keep someone else warm. Real kindness has boundaries. Real kindness starts with you. The truth is, when you stop being overly kind to men who haven't earned that kindness, you start commanding a whole new level of respect. Not just from them, but from yourself. And that is where everything changes. Respect is not something you hand out like candy on Halloween. It's not automatic. It's not owed just because someone shows up. And yet so many women are walking around giving men the benefit of the doubt, offering endless respect, loyalty, and emotional energy without ever stopping to ask, has this person earned it? From childhood, women are often conditioned to defer to male authority. We're taught to be polite, to smile, to listen more than we speak. We're told to respect our fathers, our brothers, our teachers, and later, our boyfriends, our husbands, our bosses. The message is subtle but powerful. Men are to be respected by default. But here's the truth that no one says out loud. Respect isn't something you give someone because of their gender. Respect is something you give to people based on how they treat you. When you respect someone, it means you value their character, their consistency, their integrity. It means you see how they move in the world, how they handle responsibility, how they treat others. And that's what earns your respect. Not their job title, not their confidence, not how attractive they are, not how many nice things they say when they want something from you. But unfortunately, too many women are giving unearned respect to men simply because they've been taught that it's the right thing to do. Let's talk about what happens when you offer respect to someone who hasn't earned it. You send a silent message that says, "You don't have to show up for me in any meaningful way. I'll still give you access to my time, my energy, and my emotional support." You lower the bar so far down that it's no wonder people start taking advantage of you. Why wouldn't they? You've already shown them that they don't need to put in any real effort to get the best parts of you. And here's the trap. You start thinking that if you're just patient enough, understanding enough, respectful enough, maybe they'll change. Maybe they'll rise to meet you. But respect doesn't work like that. You can't inspire it in someone by shrinking yourself. You don't get someone to treat you better by treating them better while they treat you like an afterthought. It's backwards. You set the standard by showing that you respect yourself enough not to engage with people who don't meet your baseline. This isn't about being harsh or cynical. It's about being clear. Being clear on who gets to sit at your table. Being clear on what kind of behavior you will and will not accept. Being clear on the difference between admiration and blind loyalty. It's time to stop putting people on pedestals just because they're charismatic or charming. Charm is not character. Words are not actions. Promises mean nothing without follow-through. And being a good guy in theory means absolutely nothing if he doesn't show up that way in practice. When you stop giving respect automatically, something powerful happens. You start observing people for who they really are. You pay attention to how they behave when you say no. You notice whether they listen or talk over you. You see if they keep their word or make excuses. And from that place of clarity, you can decide whether someone deserves your respect or whether they're just used to women handing it over without question. This also means holding yourself to the same standard, because self-respect is the foundation of every decision you make. When you respect yourself, you don't chase people, you don't beg for attention, you don't sit around trying to prove your worth. You already know your worth, and that changes how you move. You stop settling. You stop over-explaining. You stop trying to earn love from people who are emotionally unavailable. You stop giving your best to people who only give you their bare minimum. You're not here to hand out trophies for showing up. You're not here to carry emotional weight for someone who hasn't even shown the ability to carry their own. You are not obligated to be respectful towards someone just because they want you to be. That's not how it works. Real respect is a two-way street. It's mutual, it's earned, and it's not something you give away just to avoid feeling uncomfortable. So here's the bottom line. Stop defaulting to respect. Start observing before you give it. Pay attention to how someone treats you when they have nothing to gain. Pay attention to how they act when you need something. And if they haven't earned a place in your life, don't give them one. You don't owe anyone access to your mind, your heart, or your time just because they expect it. Start respecting yourself enough to make that the new standard. The way you treat yourself teaches others how to treat you. That's not just a catchy quote, it's the truth. If you want to change the way the world responds to you, you have to start by looking at how you respond to yourself. Do you show up for yourself? Do you speak kindly to yourself? Do you set standards and enforce them? Because if you don't, no one else will. Here's the thing, self-respect sets the tone for everything. It's the foundation. It's the silent message you send in every interaction, every conversation, every decision you make. If you're constantly second-guessing yourself, apologizing for your boundaries, or tolerating disrespect just to keep the peace, you're telling the world, this is what I'm willing to accept. And once you've set that baseline, people will either rise to meet it or walk all over it. We live in a world that encourages women to prioritize everyone else first. We're praised for being selfless, for being caregivers, for being accommodating. But rarely are we taught to honor ourselves. Rarely are we told that putting yourself first isn't selfish, it's necessary. Because when you don't respect yourself, everything else starts to fall apart. You start settling for less than you deserve. You tolerate mediocre relationships, toxic friendships, soul-sucking jobs, and half-hearted efforts from people who don't even see your value. And you start to believe that's normal. But it's not. That is not the life you were meant for. That's the result of abandoning yourself over and over again. And it's time to stop. Self-respect is about more than just confidence. It's about what you allow, what you walk away from, and what you demand. It's about saying, I deserve more, even when it's uncomfortable, even when people push back, even when it means walking alone for a while. Because when you truly respect yourself, you stop chasing validation. You stop performing for acceptance. You stop bending and twisting yourself into whatever shape someone else needs you to be. And look, this shift doesn't happen overnight. It's not easy to go from a lifetime of people-pleasing to standing firm in your worth. It takes practice, it takes courage, it takes letting go of the need to be liked by everyone. But what you gain is so much more powerful: peace, clarity, strength, and alignment. When you hold yourself to a higher standard, you attract people who either respect that standard or get left behind. That's not being cold. That's being clear. And clarity is a gift. Clarity protects your energy. It filters out the noise. It lets the right people in and keeps the wrong ones out. But it only comes when you stop betraying yourself. Think about it. Every time you stay silent when you want to speak up, every time you say yes when your body screams no, every time you let someone back in who already showed you they don't respect you, you're teaching yourself that your needs don't matter. And if you don't believe your needs matter, no one else will either. Self-respect also shows up in how you talk to yourself. Are you constantly criticizing yourself? Do you shrink your dreams, downplay your accomplishments, or dismiss your desires? That's not humility. That's self-abandonment, and it's not noble. It's harmful, because when you treat yourself like you're not worthy, that message bleeds into every area of your life. But when you speak to yourself with compassion, with encouragement, with conviction, you start showing up differently. You walk into rooms differently. You choose differently. You stop settling for text messages at midnight and start demanding real effort. You stop tolerating breadcrumbs and start expecting consistency. You stop engaging with anyone who treats your time, your body, or your emotions like they're disposable. And guess what? That's when everything changes. That's when you start attracting people who see you, really see you, and respect what they see. But it starts with you. No one is going to show up and magically hand you the respect you crave. You have to build it from the inside out. You have to look in the mirror and decide that you're done lowering your standards just to keep someone around. You're done making excuses for behavior that doesn't sit right with you. You're done waiting for someone else to validate your worth. Respect yourself first. Speak up, hold the line, walk away when necessary. Because once you truly respect yourself, you make it impossible for anyone to treat you as anything less than valuable. And that's the kind of power that can't be faked, borrowed, or taken away. It's yours. Use it. Most people confuse boundaries with being rude. They think that saying no or drawing a line makes you selfish, cold, or difficult. But that's not the truth. Boundaries are not a sign of weakness or arrogance. They are a reflection of your self-respect. They are how you teach the world what is and isn't acceptable. And if you're constantly allowing people to cross those boundaries just to avoid confrontation, you're not being nice. You're being invisible. Here's what you need to understand. Boundaries are not walls that keep people out. They're bridges that guide people in. They tell others how to love you, how to support you, how to engage with you in a way that honors your values. Without boundaries, people don't know where the line is, and when that line is unclear, it will get crossed, intentionally or not. Many women struggle with boundaries because we've been conditioned to prioritize harmony over honesty. We're taught that being a good woman means being easygoing, flexible, always available. So when we set a boundary, when we say, I don't like that, or please don't talk to me like that, or I need some space, we feel guilty. We worry that we're being mean, that we're letting someone down. But here's the truth. Boundaries are not about them. They're about you. They're not punishment. They're protection. When you don't have boundaries, you say yes to things that drain you. You keep relationships going that should have ended months ago. You let people treat you in ways that make you feel small, used, or invisible. And over time, this doesn't just damage your relationships, it damages your identity. You forget who you are, you lose sight of your worth, and you start thinking that being disrespected is just part of life. But it's not. You are allowed to protect your energy. You are allowed to demand more. You are allowed to say, this doesn't work for me. And if someone gets angry or walks away when you finally speak up for yourself, that's not proof that your boundaries are the problem. It's proof that your silence was benefiting them. The people who truly care about you will respect your boundaries. They may not love hearing them in the moment, but they'll adjust. They'll show you through action that your comfort matters just as much as theirs. And this goes beyond romantic relationships. Boundaries matter with friends, with family, with coworkers. If you're always the one doing the emotional heavy lifting, always the one saying yes even when you're exhausted, always the one people lean on but never check on, that's not a relationship. That's a transaction. And you're the one paying the cost. Start noticing where your boundaries have been missing. Think about the situations that leave you feeling resentful, exhausted, or unseen. Those are the places where you've allowed your limits to be ignored. And reclaiming them isn't about starting fights or burning bridges. It's about showing up differently. It's about calmly saying, I can't do that right now. Or I'm not comfortable with this, or that doesn't work for me. That's it. No long explanation required, no apology necessary. You don't owe anyone access to you, not your time, your energy, your body, or your peace. You have the right to choose how and when you engage with others. And the moment you begin honoring that right, you start attracting relationships that are built on respect instead of convenience. Boundaries also build trust, not just with others, but with yourself. Every time you honor your limits, you send yourself a powerful message. I've got your back. And when you consistently stand up for your needs, you build confidence. You stop walking on eggshells. You stop molding yourself into who others want you to be. You stand in your truth, and you let the chips fall where they may. Because the truth is, you cannot be everything to everyone and still be true to yourself. Something will always break, and more often than not, it's you. So instead of trying to be liked by everyone, aim to be respected by the right ones. And that starts with respecting yourself enough to draw the line. Boundaries are not rude, they are not mean, they are not selfish, they are a radical act of self-love. They are the highest form of clarity, and they are the gateway to relationships that feel safe, supportive, and real. So stop apologizing for having them, start building them, and watch how your life changes. Nice isn't a personality trait, it's often a mask. And for a lot of women, being nice is something we were taught to be, not something we chose to be. From a young age, girls are conditioned to be agreeable, to avoid confrontation, to smooth things over, to put others first, to not take up too much space. We're told to be nice in situations where we're uncomfortable, to smile even when we're disrespected, to tolerate behavior that crosses our boundaries. Why? Because being nice keeps the peace, it keeps us safe. But here's the truth nobody tells you. Nice is not the same as kind. And it's definitely not the same as empowered. Being nice is often a survival mechanism. It's what we do to avoid rocking the boat, to protect ourselves from rejection or conflict. It's learned behavior, social conditioning at its core. And the problem with living in this nice girl programming is that it teaches you to betray yourself daily. You put everyone else's needs ahead of your own. You prioritize being liked over being respected. You tolerate what you hate because you're scared of what will happen if you say, "This doesn't work for me." And when you live in that space long enough, you lose touch with your real self. You don't even know what you want anymore because your life has been about meeting other people's expectations. You say yes when you mean no. You agree to things that drain you. You keep people in your life who don't deserve to be there just because you don't want to seem cold or harsh. That isn't a personality. That's self-neglect. Let's be real. There are people who will only like you as long as you're easy to control, as long as you stay quiet, as long as you don't challenge them, as long as you smile, nod, and agree. The second you speak up, the second you set a boundary, the second you say, "That's not okay with me," you're suddenly too much, too emotional, or not nice anymore. And this is where the real test begins, because it's in those moments that you have to choose. Do I shrink to make someone else comfortable, or do I stand in my truth, even if it makes them uncomfortable? Being nice might make you more likable in the short term, but it doesn't make you respected. And if the cost of being nice is your self-respect, it's not worth it. You are not here to be palatable. You're not here to be small. You're here to be whole, real, and honest. And sometimes that means being direct. Sometimes that means disappointing people. Sometimes that means walking away from relationships that only worked because you were willing to abandon your needs. Real kindness doesn't come from fear, it comes from strength. It's grounded in respect, not approval. When you're kind from a place of power, you're not trying to please people. You're choosing to be compassionate without compromising yourself. You can be kind and still have boundaries. You can be kind and still demand respect. Those things are not opposites, they're aligned. But you can't access that version of kindness until you let go of the version of nice that was handed to you, the one that's built on fear of judgment, fear of being alone, fear of upsetting others. That version of nice is rooted in insecurity, and it keeps you in rooms you've outgrown. It keeps you in dynamics that deplete you. It keeps you from living a life that feels true. It's okay to stop being nice if being nice means you're constantly silencing yourself. It's okay to be firm. It's okay to be clear. It's okay to say no without guilt. Because every time you choose yourself, every time you speak your truth, every time you prioritize your peace over someone else's comfort, you are practicing real empowerment. You are stepping into your worth. And yes, it will be uncomfortable at first. You'll second guess yourself. You'll feel guilt creep in. That's normal. That's the old programming trying to pull you back into the box. But don't listen. Keep going. Keep choosing yourself. Keep replacing nice with real. Because the goal isn't to be liked by everyone. It's to be fully respected by the right people, starting with yourself. You don't owe anyone access to your life just because they want it. Let that sink in. So many women are walking around feeling guilty for pulling back from people who have hurt them, for saying no to conversations that drain them, for removing themselves from situations that no longer align with who they are becoming. And that guilt, it's not coming from your values, it's coming from your conditioning. You've been taught that your job is to be available, to be open, to be forgiving, to keep the peace at all costs. But peace that costs you your well-being isn't peace. It's self-abandonment. Here's the truth. Just because someone wants to be in your life doesn't mean they deserve to be. Just because someone misses you doesn't mean they've changed. Just because someone feels entitled to your time or your energy doesn't mean they get it. Access to you is a privilege, not a right. And if someone hasn't shown the maturity, the respect, or the consistency to handle that privilege, you are absolutely allowed to take it away. People show you who they are through their patterns, not their apologies, not their promises, their patterns. If someone repeatedly disrespects your boundaries, invalidates your feelings, or only shows up when they need something, that's not love, that's control, that's convenience. And staying in those dynamics out of guilt or obligation only teaches them one thing, that they can keep treating you this way and you'll still stay. And let's be clear, this doesn't make you bitter. This doesn't make you unkind. It makes you awake. It means you're paying attention. It means you're no longer willing to hand out access to people who've shown you they don't know what to do with it. It means you're finally starting to understand your own value. And that is powerful. There's a version of you that once accepted the bare minimum. She made excuses for bad behavior. She stayed too long. She tried too hard. She tolerated too much. That version of you was doing the best she could with what she knew. But you've outgrown her now. You've learned. You've seen what happens when you let people back in just because they said the right thing. You felt the disappointment of thinking they'd change this time and realizing they didn't. And that knowledge, that experience, that's not bitterness. That's wisdom. Sometimes the most loving thing you can do for yourself and for someone else is to walk away, to stop giving them access to the parts of you they didn't appreciate when they had them, to stop giving people the best of you when they've only ever shown up with the worst of them. You're not here to be someone's emotional dumping ground. You're not here to teach someone how to love you. You're not here to be the rehab center for someone else's immaturity. When someone repeatedly chooses behavior that hurts you, disrespects you, or makes you question your worth, that's not a mistake. That's a message. And your response to that message sets the tone for how your life will go from this point forward. Are you going to keep ignoring what you feel just to avoid the discomfort of enforcing a boundary? Or are you going to say, I love myself too much to keep doing this? Protecting your peace isn't selfish, it's sacred, and that might mean going no contact. That might mean unfollowing, blocking, distancing, whatever it takes. You don't owe them closure. You don't owe them conversation. You don't even owe them understanding. You owe yourself a life that feels healthy, honest, and free. And sometimes to get that, you have to remove access quietly, firmly, without drama, without explanation. Just a clear, grounded decision that says, I'm no longer available for this. And here's the beautiful thing. When you protect your space, when you honor your energy, when you say no more to what no longer serves you, you make room for the right things, the right people, the ones who don't drain you, who don't confuse you, who show up with clarity, with presence, with effort. But you won't find them if you keep letting the wrong ones take up space. So remind yourself every single day, not everyone gets to have you. Not everyone earns a seat at your table. You get to choose who has access to your world. And from now on, that choice should always begin with one question: do they respect the privilege of being in my life? If the answer is no, you already know what to do. You are not hard to love. Let's start there. If you've ever found yourself questioning your worth because of the way someone treated you, let me remind you, how they treated you is a reflection of them, not you. But I get it. It's so easy to internalize someone else's inability to show up as love and somehow make it mean you're not good enough, that you're too emotional, too needy, too intense, too much. So you shrink. You silence yourself. You start editing who you are in hopes that next time someone will finally love the filtered version of you. But that's not love. That's performance. And you were not born to perform. The truth is, people only meet you as deeply as they've met themselves. If someone hasn't done the work to understand their own emotions, their own patterns, their own wounds, they will never know how to meet you with emotional maturity. And yet, so many women take that personally. You think, maybe if I just loved him harder, stayed longer, explained myself better, he'd get it. But you're not a translator for someone else's emotional incompetence. You're not here to carry the weight of someone's lack of effort. Love is not something you should have to earn with your patience or your pain or your sacrifice. Let's be real. Just because someone says they love you doesn't mean they know how to love you. Love isn't words, it's action, it's consistency, it's presence, it's effort. And if someone says I love you but shows up with confusion, neglect, disrespect, or avoidance, that's not love. That's attachment. That's control. Real love honors you. It sees you. It makes you feel safe, not small. It doesn't leave you wondering where you stand. And here's the hard part. A lot of women confuse chaos with chemistry. You think the anxiety is excitement. You think the unpredictability is passion. But that's just your nervous system reacting to inconsistency. It's the addiction to hope that maybe this time things will be different. But love shouldn't feel like emotional whiplash. You shouldn't have to keep proving that you're worthy of being chosen. You are worthy without having to earn it, beg for it, or break yourself to keep it. It's time to stop chasing love and start choosing it. Choose the kind of love that's rooted in clarity, not confusion. Choose the kind of love that respects your boundaries, not just your body. Choose the kind of love that doesn't flinch when you express a need or ask a question. And most importantly, choose that kind of love first from yourself. Because the way you love yourself sets the bar for everyone else. If you treat yourself like an afterthought, others will too. If you tolerate breadcrumbs, you'll never know what it feels like to be truly nourished. If you keep giving your best to people who give you their bare minimum, you'll always feel starved in your own relationships. Healing starts the moment you stop blaming yourself for how others failed to love you. That's not your responsibility. Your responsibility is to understand why you accepted it for so long, why you kept choosing people who triggered your wounds instead of those who could help you heal them. That's where your power lives, not in fixing them, but in finally choosing you. And yes, choosing yourself will be lonely sometimes. It might mean walking away from the person you thought was your forever. It might mean starting over. It might mean rebuilding your life from the inside out. But that kind of loneliness is nothing compared to the loneliness of sharing your life with someone who makes you feel unseen. And once you've experienced the quiet peace of your own self-worth, you'll never again settle for the loud chaos of conditional love. So no, you are not hard to love, but you will be hard to manipulate once you start loving yourself. You'll be hard to access for people who only want to take. You'll be hard to keep for anyone who thinks love is just convenience dressed as commitment. And that's a good thing, because you're not here to be an option. You're here to be met, chosen, honored. Start with you. The rest will follow.